If you look at this player, he is a very talented star. He can be at the top of the best. However, it is still only a dream. If he shows the right path, he will not reach the expected place. In 2011, when he was just 17 years old, Sir Alex Ferguson told French radio that he was one of the stars who failed to make it to the top of the footballing world for various reasons. He made a very regretful comment recently, saying that if I had no money, I would have never played football. I would have been someone who would have loved me for who I am, not for the fame or the money, but for the recognition. I would have loved everything. Football is a beautiful sport, but it is also cruel. It doesn't take a moment for people to forget what you have done. You have a day in front of you, but when you stop working, they will do anything for you. Paul Pogba is a star who can play every role. His creativity, his skill, his work ethic, his ability to entertain, his passion for football, his way of life, his close friendship, his lack of dedication, his lack of motivation, and his use of stimulants, all contributed to the end of his football career. 6 years ago, when France lifted the World Cup in Russia, he was hailed as a star of great strength. 10 years ago, world football was being described as one of the greatest gifts of our time. The all-powerful midfielder, the midfielder who would never have thought of having a club, was one of the players who would win the Ballon d'Or. A few years later, however, Paul Pogba, who was banned from football before reaching the age of 30 for using doping, was banned from football for failing an anti-doping test without consulting his medical team. It is a sad news that we have heard about him. Paul Pogba has been handed an 18-month ban from football due to a doping violation. Initially, he faced a potential 4-year suspension after testing positive for DHEA, a substance that increases testosterone levels, following a test conducted in August 2023. The ban officially started from September 2023, which means Pogba is eligible to return to football in March 2025. The ban was reduced following Pogba's appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. His legal team argued that the ingestion was unintentional. The evidence presented included documentation showing that Pogba had consumed a supplement prescribed by a doctor in Florida. This doctor, allegedly experienced with athletes, assured Pogba the supplement complied with anti-doping rules. CAS acknowledged the unintentional nature of the violation but emphasized Pogba's negligence in failing to verify the supplement further. His clean prior record and full cooperation with authorities also contributed to the reduced ban duration. Pogba's case underscores the importance of vigilance regarding supplements for professional athletes, as even inadvertent use of banned substances carries severe consequences. While Pogba avoided the maximum sanction, the ban still significantly impacts his career, including missing most of the 2024 season and facing uncertainty regarding his role at Juventus. Paul Pogba was one of the first football stars to be the subject of media headlines, with his highs and lows constantly changing. Manchester United broke the bank and spent €105 million to buy him from Juventus for a record price. He was only 23 years old. He won the Serie A title for 4 consecutive years and was named the best young player at the 2024 World Cup in Brazil. Paul Pogba was a shining star in the Juventus team. We saw him as a happy player who could freely enter the goal area as he wanted. After coming from the Manchester Academy to Torino, he showed his best player, not only Juventus but also Serie A. In Serie A, Pogba is the best player who has shown his talent. Paul Pogba came to the Premier League as a Manchester United player. It became a big talk. If this boy doesn't find someone to show him the way, we won't find him where his talent can take him. After leaving for Old Trafford, Paul Pogba arrived with great expectations. At Manchester United, the Juventus Pogba could never be born. One reason was that the coaches were unable to create a clear role for him. When he was given so much freedom to play, he showed many things. There were reasons early on that United and the coaches gave Paul that the roles they gave him were limiting or did not allow him to freely express his talent. But later, he was criticized for not being able to adapt to modern football and the league, and for not being able to play in one role. While he was playing, he was not interested in following the fashion more than in practice, and he was a bad player who raised the right price for Manchester United and the Premier League, and he was a bad player who spread his bad reputation like a virus to others. Pogba and Man United did not bring anything good. In the middle of this, Pogba was called up to the French national team for the World Cup. In that game, he showed a commendable performance from start to finish. He scored a goal. The World Cup lineup allowed Pogba to have a good time, unlike United. The changed Pogba did what they were more disappointed with when the new season was expected. He made a speech that said that his main goal upon his return was not to win the Premier League or the Champions League. His main goal was to win the Ballon d'Or. After that, Pogba was seen as completely unsettled and unable to integrate with the team. He is a player who is not only a player of great physicality but also a player who is passionate about his work. He is a player who is not seen as a player of great physicality in Manchester. He plays on the pitch, but he is not seen as a player who is serious about his work. Paul Pogba, who is seen as a player with a clear mind, has become a player who has been criticized by fans, former players, and pundits at United. Some have recently blamed the Manchester United project, which has been known to grind players like a meat grinder, for Paul Pogba's unfortunate demise. However, most have pointed their finger at Pogba himself, who has misdirected his talent and has been the cause and destination of his downfall. The 2019-20 season was marred by injuries, and in 2021, he returned to Juventus and underwent surgery. Paul Pogba, who has only played 51 games since the 2019 season due to a knee injury, has begun to decline rapidly. His name has been erased from the list of players who have been considered to be the best in world football for many years. In March 2022, a month before he was due to play his final match for Man United, he was kidnapped by masked men armed with M16 rifles on the streets of Paris. The kidnappers demanded a total of €13 million. Pogba tried to pay, but the bank refused. For days before this incident, 2 of his children were robbed at gunpoint. That same week, his older brother Matthias released a video about Paul Pogba. In the video, Paul Pogba said that he had a sorcerer named Ibrahim who paid €100 an hour in West Africa and that he would pay him to harm Kylian Mbappe and other things. Paul Pogba first lost his football talent and then his fortune. As he himself said, money changes people, and it can even lead to wars. But Paul Pogba's decline did not stop there. Expensive cars, eye-catching displays, fast-changing hairstyles and fashion trends, and flashy sports cars, but his talent was not developed enough to attract the media's attention. Pogba eventually went on to say that football was beautiful but cruel. He became a free man, saying that if he had not played football, he would have been free. After 6 miserable years at Old Trafford under Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he could not turn things around after moving to Juventus. Having played only 8 times for Juventus in 18 months, he finally failed a doping test. In February 2024, he was banned by the Italian anti-doping agency after repeatedly testing positive for a banned substance. It was decided. Pogba described the decision as heartbreaking and disappointing. Paul Pogba was a complete midfielder who was comfortable with the ball, scoring goals and scoring tries, and was a player who was able to move the ball with confidence, compared to many midfielders, including Patrick Vieira, who could pass the ball to the right player with a different perspective. Bad decisions, excessive car and fashion obsession, lack of attention and lack of care have brought him down from the level of a star.